Good afternoon now, everybody. Alex here from the Festival of Enterprise, as always. Somebody got a screen open. Somebody got another screen open there. Neither of you got a screen open, have you? Mute. Okay, how's that? Okay, so I don't know if it's either Richard or Schnel. I don't know if you've got another screen open there on your laptop, because that's when we get a feedback like that. Okay, let's see what happens when I unmute each of you as well. But good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. As I say, I'm joining you from Poole in Dorset, where it is an absolutely stunning day. Hopefully the weather is back here to stay for us. And I know a lot of businesses are opening up as of today as well throughout the UK. So let us know whereabouts you're joining us from today, whereabouts you are in the country. Schnell's in London. Richard is joining us from High Wycombe in Buckinghamshire. And today we're talking strategies to support entrepreneurs. So today we're going to have an insight into how you can maintain motivation and inspiration in order to bounce back post-lockdown, which I know there again, different updates scheduled from the government today and tomorrow. So we should be getting a clear idea what's going to be happening in this country with the economy. And this session is going to cover a selection of strategies that you can implement yourself to help keep your business or business idea progressing during what's been, I think everyone would say, pretty damn challenging times, no matter what industry, no matter what market, no matter what type of business that you've got. So Schnel and Richard are going to be discussing common pressures faced by entrepreneurs and what business leaders are doing to overcome them in order to carry on. So I'm going to hand over to Richard first with his presentation, Schnel second. Maybe Schnel, you'd like to introduce yourself first, and then I'll pass over to Richard. I'm just going to unmute you. There we go.
Thank you very much. So it's Schnel Hanson from Developing in the U. The key focus for today's discussion is about mindfulness and how you can be a mindful leader and the benefits that has in the workplace.
Now, brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. And then we're going to hand over Richard, if you'd like to bring your slides up and then just introduce yourself in your presentation, and you can take it away for us. Thank you.
Yes. Well, good morning. Oh, good afternoon,
yes,
Robert.
Well, good morning. Oh, good afternoon, Robert. Well, good morning. Oh, good afternoon, Robert. Well, good morning. Oh, good afternoon, Robert. Well, good morning. Oh, good afternoon, Robert. Well, good morning. Oh, good afternoon, Robert. Well, good morning. Oh, good afternoon, Robert. Well, good morning. Oh, good afternoon, Robert. Well, good morning. Oh, good afternoon, Robert. Well, good morning. Oh, good afternoon, Robert.
Don't know if you want to log out and log back in again, Richard, or you nuke that. Is that screen gone now? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what.
No. Yeah, there's going to be a screen open somewhere there. I know that's what happens when we get that. Bear with us, everybody. I'm just going to see if Richard has got a screen open he can shut down. A little bit of rap and house music going on there. You're right, Alan. Absolutely. Was it to your taste or was it not to your taste? What would you prefer, country or western? Okay, so it's Richard. He's not muted at the moment, so he quite enjoyed it. Excellent. Thank you for joining us, Alan. Sue's from Wincham as well. Anybody else, do let us know. We are broadcasting via Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well. So if you are watching one of those channels and you'd like to join in the conversation, then just head on over to festivalofenterprise.co.uk, register, and join us on this platform instead. But if you are watching on your phone somewhere and you're on social, then thank you for joining us. Okay, let's see.
Right.
Just wondering if we want to switch over and start with Schnel while I can mute Richard and see if he can sort things out his end. That might make a little bit of sense. Do you want to try that, guys? Okay.
Yeah, I only have.
Yeah, that's the same thing his end. Okay, so there's got to be a screen open there somewhere. It's the only time we get that that feedback, because it's fine your end, Schnell, it's fine my end. Okay, so let's see if Richard can log out, log in, and do that. So thank you for joining us, everybody. Okay, so Schnell, you've got your presentation. Awesome. I'm going to focus the screen on that. There we go. And if you'd like to take things away for us, please, that's awesome.
Thank you very much. So today's webinar objective is we're going to look at mindfulness in the workplace and kind of starting off with the key challenges. So we're going to identify the challenges you face as a manager when we're working remotely. We're then going to look at the possible solutions and how to address these challenges. And lastly, it's about creating strategies to become a mindful leader. So just think about the current challenges that you might be having at the moment. I've come up with 5 common problems. These are team communication, lack of interaction, and some clients have reported back about the loneliness, especially during COVID-19, and perhaps having low visibility as well, and knowing that actually can't go out as often. That can bring about stress. These are some possible solutions to the current challenges we're experiencing. So as a manager or a leader of your team, it's about speaking to your colleagues, making them know that you're there to support them, checking on them to see if they're comfortable of what's been expected, because perhaps job roles have, particularly my clients in the NHS sector, I know there's a lot of job evaluations because they're actually now working frontline. Encouraging them the need to take sunlight and fresh air and regular exercise. So just go back one slide. So why should I, don't know what's happened there. I think it's on a timer. Let me just pause that. Previous. So why should I worry about being a mindful leader? So I'm going to quickly show you to the slide. It's decided to bounce around, so I'm going to show you. Can you see this, Tim? The studies have shown that actually offering mindfulness in the workplace has increased sick days by 31% less sick days, creating a more supportive mental wellbeing atmosphere can help also boost staff productivity, happiness. This in turn can help improve staff retention and employee output. So what is a mindful leader? A mindful leader, it can be a good thing too, to learn to sit in your own awareness. And what I mean by awareness is being a mindful leader to show workforce and the employees about your interest in mental well-being. You're aiming to provide a more productive and comfortable working environment. Mindfulness can be achieved and improved by a number of methods. These will be outlined in the following slides. Introducing these methods to your employees will give a number of options as to how to incorporate a mindfulness approach. Some of the common practices is mindful eating, body scan meditation, setting realistic goals, and also just a smile. So when I refer to mindful eating, we're looking at a form of meditation that listens to your body to identify what it needs from our nutritional perspective. It empowers you to understand your body's true cravings, improving your overall health and avoiding food that can lower motivation. Body scan meditation focus on your present moments, the being present. It helps you take control of your emotions. It prevents stress from taking over your body. You can learn the difference between pleasant and unpleasant sensations to help you stop unpleasant feelings taking over. Being aware of one's breathing. So practicing this could also be part of mindfulness. So practicing to help clear your mind, bringing the unconscious actions of breathing into conscious to rid the mind of other worries or concerns. Over time, this can help build resilience against stressful situations, keeping you feeling in control. Mindfulness in sleep. A number of clients report that, particularly since COVID, they've had stress from knowing, where your business is going to take up after COVID. Having sleepless nights is obviously really can affect your productivity. But running mindfulness sessions in your workplace can help improve your employees' sleep patterns. Sleep and rest are vital ingredients to ensure that you're ready to tackle the day. A proper night's sleep can help ensure your staff are ready to handle tasks ahead, keeping their focus sharp and their ability to think on their feet optimum. Achieving mindfulness has proven results in improving sleep patterns. And as an affiliate for This Works, one of the products that I love is their sleep spray. So anyone that is experiencing sleep problems, be in touch and I can offer you a promotional discount for them. Walk-in meditation, so an alternative to traditional meditation for those who don't want to sit still in one place. Meditation whilst moving aims to put body and mind in sync. It encourages awareness of your body and all physical sensations as you move. Whilst we're allowed to actually come together as groups, not too many people in the group, can also, working as a group can also reduce stress. Whilst most of us have experienced stress on some level, how it affects us can be completely different. By entering a group conversation, you can understand how stress impacts others, helping to identify how to support them if you notice signs of suffering. Identifying other behavioural patterns not only helps us recognise similar patterns in ourselves, but it can also ensure we know how to reach out to those who are experiencing them. This can be beneficial for colleagues who work together frequently. Then here are some points that we discussed earlier: talking to your colleagues, exercising, checking on whether they're comfortable and they know exactly what's expected of them, and emphasising the need for sunlight and fresh air. There you go. Thanks. As an RTT practitioner, there are a number of clients that come to me regarding perhaps anxiety, stress, depression. So please do stay in touch and check out LinkedIn as we write about some of these common problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. I wonder if Richard's okay.
Yeah, let's see how we get on. Okay, I'm going to unmute Richard, enable the camera. Let's see how we're doing. Richard, how are we doing?
Good, I hope.
Yes.
Yes.
No echo. Brilliant.
Good. Yes. I'm not entirely sure what that was, but I did a little bit of tweaking. So I think we're all good. I'll just go straight ahead. So my name's Richard Collins, and we run the UK's only accreditation program for social responsibility. And in picking up from Schnel's kind of health and well-being conversation, we can be pretty clear that social responsibility is about something good because it makes you feel good because it's about something good, and it's actually a great way to support all stakeholders actually in achieving a huge amount of goals, from HR policy to health and well-being policy to recruitment strategies and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly share my screen, and hopefully you can see my presentation.
There we go.
Hopefully you can see that. Now what I'll do is, can I just check that that's running forwards and backwards? Can you see that correctly?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. So I'm just going to talk about the conversation around what the new normal for business is. So this webinar really explains the new business landscape and looks at how social responsibility will have a major impact for your business going forward. Social responsibility is now an essential ingredient for business growth, such a success and long-term sustainable profitability. Now, I took a view, well, there was a lot of conversation about that normal wasn't working, and we need to create something better than normal. Defining normal, well, it is with the benefit of hindsight that we can clearly see that the normal we experienced before the pandemic was not working. And I think this was a false normal. Our increasingly unrelating pace of life and the transition to a more online environment has distanced us from a sense of reality. With the advent of fake news, social media, echo chambers, and non-stop interference of work into our social time via our phones, tablets, and different devices, we barely have time to stop and reflect on the world around us. So the question is, has the pandemic actually reintroduced us to a more authentic normal, one in which we have a stronger sense of community and social responsibility? It feels like we lost sight of those values, and we're now beginning to see them again. We do need to do something far better than the old normal going forward, and I'm in no doubt that moral and social responsibility will play an essential role in life, both at home and in work going forward. So, coronavirus and the global sea change. Since February, the world has changed dramatically, and the focus on social responsibility has become far more important. We're already witnessing some incredible acts of kindness and support for struggling businesses, charities, and individuals. This will become normal as consumers and stakeholders expect increased social value from the businesses they are engaged with. And I think this is hugely important, and there is business happening on trust and a lot of goodwill. It is about building relationships. It's not just about price, it is about adding social value. Over the past years, employees have recognised their workforce need for both care and purpose. And in the light of recent events, this is more important now than ever before. It is likely that when we do return to the office, businesses will have both the opportunity and the desire to rethink their approach to well-being and culture. We have to build back better. Just a couple of questions, just to think about with regards to your business. Has your business been operating in the last 6, 7, 8, 10 weeks? Have you been using technology? Have you been saving on travel time? Have you reduced your carbon footprint? Have you engaged more with community? And have you been more aware of the impact on your staff? If the answer is yes to any of these questions, then you've already been involved in some form of social responsibility during lockdown. So a little bit about social responsibility or corporate social responsibility. This is aimed at encouraging companies to be more aware of their impact of their business on the rest of society, including their own stakeholders and the environment. CSR is an approach that contributes to sustainable development by delivering economic, social, and environmental benefits for all stakeholders. CSR is a concept with many definitions and practices that addresses many and various topics, such as human rights, corporate governance, health and safety, environmental effects, working conditions, and contribution to economic development. The purpose of CSR is to drive change towards sustainability. CSR is about achieving better results for the business too, better productivity and better financial results. So much has already changed, and we're already seeing the positive effects in the world around us. Not just a significant improvement in the environment, air quality and biodiversity, but in our own lives. Time to reflect, time to spend with families, a new connection with neighbours, and a respect and appreciation for others, especially key workers and the charities who care for those in need. Consumers, employers, employees, investors, stakeholders, and new recruits will not just expect to deal with responsible companies, they will insist on it. We are already starting to see this in the younger generation who ask about organisation CSR before they join. COVID-19 will have only galvanised this feeling for more people. A recent study of millennials by American Express found that in the USA, 68% want to make a positive difference in the world, and 81% believe that a successful business needs to have a genuine purpose. Bucks University indicated that over 70% of students actively look for an organisation's social responsibility policy before accepting a job offer or applying for a job. Furthermore, the careers platform showed that for the first time in the last 5 years, the average student would rather explore work in the public and charitable sector rather than banking and law, showing that they are looking for value and purpose beyond a job title and a paycheck. We have tried to define a standard to make things a little bit easier for social responsibility. And that is introducing the CSR 4 pillars of environment, workplace, community, and philanthropy. Each CSR pillar is designed to help you audit, benchmark, improve, and impact report on areas such as energy and waste, health and well-being, community engagement, and supporting charities. The CSR policy can then be developed in line with an ongoing CSR strategy that is integrated within your business strategy. Social responsibility will become a normal strategic business practice for businesses, ensuring long-term sustainable profitability. The new normal for business will include a change in business practices that have impacts against those CSR 4 pillars. So, we're looking at environment, a change in working conditions, working from home perhaps more, and maybe having work from office days rather than work from home days. Recycling, reducing energy. To reduce the environmental impacts, organisations should adopt an integrated approach that takes into consideration the direct and indirect economic, social, health and environmental implications. And workplace, flexible working hours, technology, mental health and well-being, skills training and emotional investment. It is so important to think about the emotional investment of staff, especially during a transition to new working models. If people are now going to work from home rather than the office, it is the responsibility of their managers or business owners to make sure that they have the mental health and well-being in place at home, the health and safety in place at home, the skills training to use the new technologies, to make sure they sit in chairs and work in spaces that don't give them RSI or other conditions. And I think we have identified that 87% of employees now expect their employer to support them in balancing the work and personal commitments. Providing the right support is not a luxury, it is actually a necessity. And with the community, it is widely accepted today that organisations have a relationship with the communities they operate in. The relationship should be based on community involvement to promote and contribute to community development. In fact, some businesses are taking this a step further, encouraging their people to take on skills-based placements, which benefit both the employees and those they're helping. By giving employees the opportunity to give something back, employees have found a new way to give their people purpose outside of their jobs. And it's certainly a worthwhile endeavour. 89% of volunteers reported increased job satisfaction, and 87% of volunteers reported a greater pride in the company they work for. In fact, the common good is our good, and volunteering was cited as one of the most important aspects in managing mental health and well-being. And philanthropy. Modern consumers want to do businesses with companies that are socially minded. In fact, most people would rather patronise a business that is also serving the community in some way, in addition to making profit. Therefore, it makes business sense and can positively impact on your bottom line to think about how to become philanthropically engaged in your community if you haven't done so already. After all, acts of kindness at the moment are making a big difference. In a recent poll carried out by YouGov for the Mental Health Foundation, found more than 1 in 6 out of 10 of us feel anxious and worried because of the coronavirus. While it's undoubtedly a worrying time for everyone, it's not all bad news. Many individuals and companies have shown amazing acts of kindness by going above and beyond in the effort to help with the ongoing pandemic. Caring and acts of kindness are not just nice things to do. This is a key trend, showing a customer that you care like a friend. Be that through face-to-face interaction or sharing positive stories on social media, it's a trend that when it becomes a habit will be something your business will be remembered for. Your business will be remembered for doing great things in a positive way. But if you behave in a poor way, like we've seen with organisations like Virgin and Sports Direct, then that will be forever remembered as something unpleasant or bad. It is clear that organisations who understand their social responsibilities and explore ways in which social responsibility can be built into strategy are more likely to reap the rewards of enhanced competitive positions in the future, benefiting not only their shareholders but all stakeholders involved and society at large. With the right culture, you could achieve powerful results for your business. Now, a period of adjustment to the new normal requires a change in mindset to the new normal. The adjustment period to the new normal could be a difficulty for some of us. Change is not always embraced. It's a fear of the unknown and not knowing how to work the technology. But a well-managed transition to the new normal could result in a stronger business with happier employees, increased productivity, and improved business results. Social responsibility is a good way to approach the transition and will become a normal and powerful way to achieve business growth. So, how will the Great Realization affect your business? Well, demonstrating your commitment to society will reassure your customers you are the right business to work with. Demonstrating your commitment to society will make you more attractive to potential employees, a greater ability to attract talent and become an employer of choice. Demonstrating your commitment to society and your staff will help with staff engagement and by retaining your staff, a happy and productive workforce. Demonstrating your commitment to society will attract new customers to you, and demonstrating your commitment to society will make it easier to access capital. Investors care about social responsibility, and so should companies. So, social responsibility will be a key driver for the long-term sustainable success of business going forward. It will have an impact on all aspects of your business. And in order to maximize this potential, it is essential for firms to smartly communicate the CSR efforts to ensure that consumers view them as driven by intrinsic, genuine, rather than extrinsic profit-led motivations. And to this end, we wanted to make a statement. We wanted to challenge the C in CSR, a sea change. Increasingly, the term corporate has been challenged. This is because it excludes a large number of stakeholders, specifically the third and public sectors, and because corporate does not encompass sole traders or smaller SMEs. For this reason, we have defined the C in CSR to be more inclusive. We now recommend that the C has a wider focus of audience-specific meanings. So for large companies, yes, corporate social responsibility, it's where it came from. But for sole traders and SMEs, we talk about company social responsibility. For the public sector, local schools, hospitals, local authorities, we talk about community social responsibility. For the third sector, we talk about charitable social responsibility. For products and services, we talk about consumer social responsibility. For training and workshops and education, we talk about citizen social responsibility. And for all of us, collective social responsibility. We can then surround these meanings with a caring, cohesive approach common to the wider collective. And in fact, the one thing that the coronavirus has brought to us and has added to the sea change is the new normal will be simply to care. It is now more important than ever to show that we are doing everything we can to improve the world we live in for future generations, not only by reducing the negative impact we have on the environment, but building a better and cohesive society. Social responsibility is not a cost. It is an investment for purpose. In our experience, many organisations are already doing lots of great things. They often do not realise that they all contribute to the success both financially and reputationally to their business. Getting the small things right can really instill pride and a strong culture within an organisation. When an employee is asked by a family member or friend, how's the job going, they don't necessarily respond, yeah, it's great, we had a pre-tax profits of X amount of £1 million. They often respond with, yeah, my boss is great. The company lets me work from home sometimes, which really helps my childcare. Or the company has a volunteer day, which helps a local charity and is really fun and makes me feel proud to work for that organisation. So to bring this part of the webinar to the end, we have highlighted the benefits to your organisation of a more socially responsible approach and areas to consider. This can be done through your own reviews or a structured social responsibility programme and accreditation that we can help you with if you wish. Everything we have discussed counts towards an organisation's CSR commitment. Each pillar is designed to help you audit, benchmark and improve an impact report on areas such as energy, health and wellbeing, community engagement and supporting charities. And this forms the basis of an ongoing CSR policy, which will help you face and meet the challenges ahead. So use this time to demonstrate your commitment to others. Social responsibility makes us feel good because the message is about something good. And it's not just an investment in your business, but in your staff, helping to enrich the quality of their lives, value and purpose. Social responsibility allows employers to enrich the quality of the organized people who live within the community. And you can develop a CSR policy and initiative to make your employees be proud. You will see a significant return in investment through improved reputation, engaged and productive workforce, becoming an employer of choice, successful investment and tendering and consumer loyalty. I would like to ask you all to consider becoming accredited to show the value of social purpose and your commitment to a greater vision for future generations. I think it's important to understand that social responsibility will become a key factor in the future of business and impacts on so many areas of business. So if you're developing an HR policy and you look under the workplace pillar, you'll see loads of areas in which you can develop workplace CSR activities such as apprenticeships, skills training, mental health and wellbeing schemes, inclusivity, gender equality, and so on and so forth. And if you're looking to do something about the environment, about travelling to work, in fact, as I've already mentioned, you're already doing all of these things. Accreditation provides you the opportunity to look at what you're doing already. And you'll notice that you are recycling. You might have a cycle to work scheme. You may have reduced energy bills. You may be recycling and reusing. You may be working with a local school or supporting a local sports group. And almost certainly, at some level, you'll be working or supporting a charity, whether nationally or someone up the road. So social responsibility, you should give time to think about what you're doing, pull together what that is under those pillars and tell everyone about it. Because the great thing about social responsibility is it creates the most brilliant narrative, positive storytelling that you can use across your social media channels. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now. And I just want to say thank you for staying with me during that little presentation, and I hope that's been of value. I'll be very happy to take questions, or I can discuss certain aspects of social responsibility, certainly experiences that we've had directly from our customers.
Thanks both of you very much indeed. So first of all, I'll just point Derek's come back with a question with regards to bounce back. Derek, we did do a webinar on this last week, so I would point you back two things, maybe the government website, gov.co.uk, to look at bounce back loans, grants, etc., what's available. We have done a number on these, and there was one last week specifically on bounce back loans, etc. So just go to festivalomenterprise.co.uk. You can see all of the past webinars that we've run. And I've just looked up now on my phone, like literally if you Google bounce back loans grants, you'll get the gov.co.uk website, which will answer all the questions that you have as well. So have a look at that. I'm sorry to hear that you've been made redundant. I mean, last week I've lost scores and scores and scores of friends. I couldn't even tell you how many through redundancy for Virgin Atlantic, and then this week having worked for Virgin Atlantic myself for many years in the past, and this week I think BA is going to be doing the same thing, basically writing a brand new contract for staff to take it or leave it. So it's interesting times. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully there will be support out there for you to revisit the company that you set up a little while ago if you are looking to invest working capital and start your own business. I wish you nothing but good luck with that. So a couple of questions, a couple of points that we had up here that you might want to touch on, Richard and Schnel. So Alan Crawford said, trending on Twitter, huge queues as Primark reopens. Are we moving into a new norm on retail, for instance? And is this a big rush? Same, yeah, and I saw that as well when McDonald's opened as well. Traffic queues everywhere. Just a desperate spike by those trapped in lockdown for the past few months, or will things just get back to the old normal once social distancing, etc., is reduced? And clearly, Richard, you come across as a very glass half full, very positive slant. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be the spike, and we've seen that with the illegal raves over the weekend, and lots of rubbish and trash left on beaches and stuff like that. But I think the thing is that this is reflective of the fact that we've all been locked down for like 12 weeks, and that there is a sort of desirability to kind of release ourselves. But I actually think that I speak to a lot of businesses and sit on a lot of committees and talk with the Chamber of Commerce throughout the UK, and the attitude is that we've seen a better connectivity with community, a better connectivity with recognising and value key workers or people, shopkeepers, van drivers, and so on and so forth. And there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to see an absolutely catastrophic recession that will definitely create high unemployment. But I actually think that the bounce back in spring, I think the demand is high. I think people will go forward remembering the positives and not taking the negatives back with them. And I think in the short term, the press are going to focus on certain aspects in which we are going to see some poor behaviour. But I think the thing is that so many people I speak to, so many examples that I can give to indicate that actually we will build up better. And actually I think we will, it's going to be hard to see in the next months. They're going to be really tricky months. But I think the thing is, I think loyalty will remain with those businesses. The demand is there in the high street, and I think we will recover this. We will recover from this a better and stronger country.
Yeah, I mean, I do think something you mentioned there as well, like the press, the media, they're all owned by different private individuals with their own agendas as well. And unfortunately, I agree with you. I think you are going to see some focus on the negativity, of course, and that is what it is. But I'm very much with you. I'm very positive, very glass half full. I think people are craving human contact again, human interaction again. Schnel, what are your thoughts?
I think there was a degree of people not acting responsible at all, and I think hopefully within the next couple of weeks things will die down. But I think it's just the pure desperation of they've been locked down for 12 weeks. There's an urge to shop and to fill that missing need. Yeah.
I hope you.
I'm just looking on that point Schnel made, and she made something about social isolation. And I think the thing is you can't underestimate, from work we've done writing social isolation policies for businesses, especially in the elderly. One of the key ingredients to reducing the impact of social isolation is obviously social connectivity, and I think that's what we're seeing now, is that a lot of people need to go out. It's all very well that the new normal might involve working from home, but the thing is that we crave interaction. And I think what we're seeing is we're just seeing that enacting itself. And, I think they did say that there is going to be grumpiness, there are going to be rows, there are going to be, queue jumping and so on and so forth. But I think that's only natural. I think that will die down. But, as I said before, I think looking at social responsibility as an organisation will go a long way to improving your business's prospects and recovery.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people who are watching today, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner can be a really lonely place anyway. Let alone if you have been working from home for the last 90, 100 days, etc. And I do think there'll be some kind of hybrid version. Personally, I've worked from home, I've worked in an office, and before lockdown, I'd come to a hybrid version of that. Taking in a certain amount of travel to London every week as well. But I do think each organisation is going to find its own way, isn't there? Clearly, is going to be different, and different sized businesses as well. So interested to know if people have, business owners are changing their thinking, are they making plans in that regard, etc. Alan says, COVID is likely to accelerate automation in the workplace, which in turn may speed up redundancy in certain types of work initially, and all types of work perhaps in 20 years' time, contributing to even higher levels of future unemployment, combining with work in the short term resulting from a potential approaching recession. CRS in future may be more about how we address the issues of unemployment, with basic income provided and assistance in how to get through the day without a job, a major issue for businesses going forward. Nice point, Alan. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. Again, I think obviously with the huge levels of unemployment, we're seeing it is again a socially responsible thing for government and for us as individuals and for businesses to help support people through those transitions. We're not. I think one of the things that we're learning is that business isn't apart from society; it's part of society, and it needs to kind of look after each other. And I think we are. We've started to see signs of that. I think the great tragedy is the kind of the unemployment hidden behind furloughed staff, and the fact that some staff will come back and some staff won't be. Yeah. And it's a question of how businesses have those conversations and work with their staff to manage their expectations, because there's no doubt there's high levels of anxiety and fear about the future. And as we lurch out of COVID into recession, it's just one thing into another thing. So I think it's so important that people talk with each other, and and try and manage the expectations that their staff have. And if people are being made employed, I think it's so important that the government takes responsibility and helps to sort of manage that as well. In terms of the automation of technology, and I'm not so sure. I think we're going through a cultural evolutionary step at the moment. COVID has forced a lot of things forward that were sitting in the back burner, like, for example, flexible working and working from home. As I said before, I've got no doubt that there's a huge demand, and that demand will mean that people will come back to jobs. I mean, it may be that you've been made redundant as an accountant, and then next year you come back as a beekeeper. There's going to be a shift in what people do and how people do things, and I think the demand is there. So whereas there will be automation and there will be changes, I definitely think we'll evolve to accommodate it.
Yeah, I agree. And the number of business owners that I've hosted on, we've had over 120 live webinars in the last 8-9 weeks now, and the amount of CEOs, business owners that I've had on here who are actually recruiting, whose businesses are doing well at this time. And I think picking up what Richard said then, maybe it is a case of, and again, the airline industry is a prime example of people having really easily transferable skills that you could take from working as cabin crew, where you did the job of a to a certain degree, a nurse, a firefighter, a policeman, a woman, and the amount of stories I've seen of people who've left industries like that and forged really successful careers in other businesses. And there will be, many opportunities that businesses will be made in this time. You look at, the likes of, the Airbnbs, and even I had Alan Barrett from Grenade. They started in the last recession with £500, now meant to be the next $1 billion British business. There will be lots of success stories, and lots of these businesses are recruiting people. And probably like Alan says, a lot of these people who are queuing up at Primark are literally just those who are still furloughed and killing time. Let's have a look at this one. Sue Francis, they are having retail therapy to boost feel-good hormones to get themselves out of feeling depressed or unsettled, like the little boost of feeling good when you get a bargain. Also, children have grown in the last 12 weeks and need new clothes. I can definitely vouch for that with my two girls. How about you, Schnel? What are your thoughts on that?
I think just going back to the point that you mentioned about redundancy and people feeling a bit anxious as well about going back to work. 1 in 5 workers have mental health conditions, and as part of the government's wellbeing agenda, it is about businesses actually adopting wellbeing from the get-go. So onboarding staff, asking the right questions, and the 5 principles that the government suggest that organisations should impart on are connect, be active, take notice, keep learning, and give. Some of these principles are most definitely within Richard's 4 pillars. And I think it's really important that there is some sort of assessment when people do go back, because, you know, perhaps their job roles have changed slightly. So there has to be given consideration into their well-being.
Yeah, and also what we've also got to take into account is that, you know, for example, Wales and Scotland. I spoke to my mother last night, who's in Cardiff, and things haven't changed. You know, you can still only travel 5 kilometres. You know, it's very much, you know, that feeling of isolation again, and not having seen, you know, family, friends now for getting on for 4 months in some cases. We kind of forget about that in England, where the strings have been loosened a little bit to a certain degree. Let's have a quick look here.
But I think what Sue was saying about that kind of retail therapy, about making us feel good, is absolutely right. And I think, you know, we can't underestimate just the impact that this 12 weeks has had on our mental health and well-being. And, you know, any little thing like that does go a long way. As I say, I don't think there'll be this kind of like negative return to the old normal. But I think we are going to see, you know, people reaching out and wanting to do something now to make them feel a bit better about the world that they live in. And, you know, being able to have accept somebody who lives alone into their family, you know, to break that cycle of social isolation for people who live alone. And, you know, but not forgetting that you know, if I've heard of businesses already who've shut their offices and now have said to their staff, right, you're now working from home, and not giving any support. And if you live alone and you work from home, that's not really good. You know, you've got to be able to help manage that. So, and I also agree with what you were saying, that, you know, I've heard so many businesses doing so well, thriving. They've forced into a new way of doing things.
Yeah.
So it's not about, you know the old adage that change is always difficult to do. Well, we've been forced to have change, and as a result of that, people are now training online. You know, doing a lot more stuff using technologies like we're using now. It is the mother of invention, and to say, you know, I am internally positive. You know, I kind of, you know, expect the worst and hope for the best kind of attitude. But you know, but I think there are opportunities, and I think we're, you know, the great thing about the UK and about SMEs is that we're incredibly inventive and adaptive, and we're incredibly clever at coming up with smart thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you agree, Schnel?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's COVID to some degree has also presented some opportunities for people to look at the ways they are working, and how to reduce cost by perhaps you know, their workspace, so people can actually work from home. But I think there has to be some consideration in terms of the planning for well-being, building resilience for personal growth, and kind of what leadership strategies are in place for diversity inclusion as well.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right in that regard. And again, maybe there are other opportunities, you know, out there. Everybody's spent the last 90, 100 days learning new technology and was being forced to learn new technology. What's super is authentic normal, the best new name for new normal? I don't know, it's one of those words that are used a lot, isn't it? Authentic.
Love it. No, I think that's what my point was. I think we've actually rediscovered an old, more authentic normal. You know, I don't like this idea of a new normal. We just got caught up in a false normal, and we all have, you know. And you know, I know people talk about the fact that they've spent more time with their family. I mean, I've met neighbours. I've lived where I've lived for 20 years, and I've now met so many neighbours that I've never spoken to in the last, you know, several weeks. And I just hope that continues. So I think, yes, authentic normal is the best new normal. And you know, just to sort of, you know, support what I've been saying, you know, I think social responsibility is the new marketing. And I think if you want to attract talent and attract that new generation of employees that have a different set of values, then you've got to start delivering social responsibility and telling people about it on your websites. Otherwise, you know, you're not going to get that talent into your business.
No, I agree. I really do. And for me, again, I'd take a huge load of positives from this time. Like you, I've met, used to know people down our little lane in our street, but now we know everybody in the street. And, you know, like that clapping for the NHS brought everybody out onto the street, and those conversations. We have like a WhatsApp group for our whole street with like 70, 80 houses, and every day there's people, you know, helping other people, offering to do shopping for other people, do errands for other people who can't get out, etc., who's still going to self-isolate. I think there's a lot of positives. Reconnecting with old friends, family. I've done more of that, I think, in the last 100 days than the last 10 years, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of positives. And again, I think, you know, you do see those spikes, like we said, with people going to the shops. I think we saw the same when people were given a little bit more leeway in getting out. And we saw it down here in Dorset with people like flooding to the beaches and leaving all their rubbish behind. But I think it was just that, again, that reaction of diving out and almost like partying, wasn't it? Literally that kind of feeling of release from what people have been cooped up for so long. So another point, maybe last questions for anybody else. So COVID may well alter the way we educate future generations to protect employment and help create the thousands of jobs that do not yet exist. And also to add to that, before I ask your opinion on it, there's going to be jobs we haven't even thought of like 10 years ago. That we couldn't even imagine that would have been a job, that are now jobs as well, just with the way that technology is going. Final thoughts from both of you.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Alan on that. I mean, COVID, I think it's a question of may well. I think it will educate future generations. And I think, you know, we talk a lot about the fact that, you know, we've got to move away from thinking about only financial value and look at social value and how important social value is to the common good for us all. The American Roundtable last year removed profit as the #1 driver for corporate America and replaced it with social value. So I think the thing is that, you know, that new education will be educating people to care about each other more in a way that, you know, makes a real difference.
I hope so, absolutely. Schnel, what are your final words from you as well? Unless anyone's got a last question, post it up.
Just as a final thought, I think overall it's about planning for your well-being, that work-life balance, because there is going to be a phase of people going back into work. So it's about how we manage that effectively. Those are my final thoughts. I think a well-being plan that can be adopted to meet the needs of employees, making sure that they're fit for work, and having some strategies in place for the future. Yeah,
perfect. Well, thank you all very much indeed for joining us today. I'm glad that you're both positive, as am I. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Alan, for your comments. Everybody else who's just been watching and not commenting, thank you so much for joining us today as well here on the live webinar, and also those of you who've been watching. You can see we've got nearly 100 people on Facebook watching as well, Twitter and YouTube. Thank you so much for watching today. Further information, if you'd like to find out more about both of you and what you're going to be doing over the course of the rest of this year, where would you like to point people in the direction of? And I'll also follow up with an email that everybody who registered will get sent as well. So if you'd like to let us know, that would be great.
Yeah, so you can find out about CSR accreditation by going to www.csr-accreditation.co.uk. We're also running a series of 9 Future of Business webinars that look at HR and social responsibility, mental health and well-being, the future of business, a lot of other great topics there. And we have launched, we've been forced into technology, so we've taken our CSR training course and put that online, so if people want to do the one-day CSR training course in 1-hour modules, then they can do.
Awesome. Schnel?
Brilliant. So you can connect with Developing the Inner You. That's www.developingtheinneryou. And like working with Richard quite closely on the webinars and training sessions. So part of my hat would be addressing HR and well-being in the workplace. I'm really active on LinkedIn, so yeah, great to connect.
Awesome. Likewise, I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm your host, Alex Chisnell. We are back again tomorrow at 10 a.m. And every day, 10 a.m. at 12 p.m. as well. People just asking about recordings of this. Yeah, it will be right here. Literally, as soon as I press stop webinar, you can watch the replay. It literally takes about 30 seconds to recalibrate and make it available. So anybody wanting to watch this, anyone who's found value from this and you'd like to share it, then again, people just need to register on the homepage, Festival of Enterprise, and then they'll be able to watch this. Also, there'll be recordings on our YouTube channel, Facebook Live, and our Twitter pages as well, where you literally just be able to press the replay as soon as I press end now. So thank you both once again. Really enjoyed that discussion with you. Thank you those who joined in as well, and enjoy the rest of your week. Long may with this beautiful weather continue. And yeah, take care. Bye bye now.
Thank you.
Cheerio. Bye bye.
Bye.